Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Flux with fluxwithit.com and sonicexpansion.com. And I've got Mike of Pad Bangers here with me. And we're basically going to talk about Namm rumors for Namm 2016 as it's getting awful close to that time. There's been a lot of different rumors popping up over the net, and I assume for the next probably 2 weeks, we'll start to see a lot more coming in and things being confirmed and things being vehemently denied and all that good stuff. So I'll be at NAM from the 20th to the 24th, and I'll certainly be out there covering a lot of the modular synthesizer and sampler world. That's kind of where I tend to stay at. I'll probably do some covering of some alternative products and some guitar pedals and things as well. But wanted to get right into it, and we'll start talking about some of the rumors that we've been hearing. So, Mike, first rumor up that I want to talk about would be a picture that came out a good long while ago, and this was the Axel Hartman picture. And
Yeah,
essentially, so for those who don't know, Axel Hartman is a famed um, user interface designer for synthesizers, and he had released some pictures. And let me see if I can do a quick screen share.
yeah.
And
I would say he's the lead product designer in the synthesizer world. I mean, he did so many synthesizers.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, he is kind of the man when it comes to this stuff. So let me pull this up here first, and this is one of the images here. And then there was this one as well. So essentially what it led a lot of people to speculate is that this could possibly be a new Waldorf synth. And if you look at it, the way that the knobs are shaped and just kind of some of the little design cues in here, it really I could definitely see that being something like a return of one of their flagship synthesizers. So that's kind of what I'm hoping for. And or even possibly something a little bit more you know, a larger model analog polysynth or something to that effect. Because we've seen them do the Pulse 2, and the Pulse 2 was really cool. Then before that, they had the Blofeld, and the Blofeld kind of got the full knob treatment using the Studio Logic Sledge. Um, this would obviously be a much higher price point than something like the Sledge. I mean, if you look at
Yeah,
the design of that thing, it looks really kind of boutique, very high quality. Um,
definitely. Yeah,
I like the idea of that thin control panel on there, and then it's got a kickstand for it, so you can lay it flat like a mini Moog and pop it up. That's pretty nice looking. Um,
definitely. And it would totally make sense since the Pulse 2 and also the Blofeld are digital controlled, so you don't need to fit those knobs on the same surface as the sound circuits go along. So you only need to do the connection. So totally possible that this is going to be a full analog synth and not only digital.
Yeah, I think just judging by the look of this thing, I mean, it definitely doesn't look cheap. It definitely looks like something
No,
that we're talking well above $1,000 if I had to guess. Um, I think the mod wheel layout is really interesting. And it's also kind of has those thin mod wheels that remind me of something like a Nord. You know.
yes, yes, exactly.
But just given the way the knobs are laid out and the way they look, I could definitely see like a Waldorf logo showing up on that. So, who knows? Maybe after Nam, we get Stefan back on here and we can talk to him about it. Possibly, see if there's anything real going on there. Hopefully we'll know about that soon. And
Did Axel only post the images and not mentioning anything? So it's not a new synth from him. He
yeah,
didn't tell that.
I don't. It was kind of a while ago. So I don't really recall if there was too much detail on there, but I think it was just something to the effect of like, here are some recent design ideas or something to that effect. And so that's got me kind of, that coupled with the discussion that we had before, you know, about these about Waldorf needing to bring back its flagship and that kind of thing. So it to me that would all kind of coincide. And speaking of Waldorf, you could also talk about the now I'll actually let you pronounce the tape synth that they're talking about. Can you pronounce the name of that?
Oh, it's a Kassettenspieler. It basically means cassette player.
Yeah. So I'm guessing that it's a digital synth in the same way that the string machine that the Strike Fet was, but instead of being a string machine, it's kind of based around like the what do you call
I
it?
think it's going to be something like an emulator for the Mellotron kind
Yeah,
of thing,
yeah,
something
that's what
like
I'm
that.
thinking. So
But the interesting part is that you can load your own samples to it.
yeah, and the specs that I'm seeing on it are saying 128 gigabyte internal flash memory. That's a lot, for
Yeah,
something like that.
I wouldn't trust that. I wouldn't wonder if it's only 128 megabytes of sample space. But if you can use like
Sure.
flashcards with it, then it possibly be up to 128 depending on the card you're using. But I have to say with these images of the Kassettenspieler, it's I don't know if I would really trust it. They look really cheap, and
I've
usually
seen some newer images that I thought looked pretty bang on. So let me share this. This is over at Matrix Synth right now. And so yeah, this is Matrix Synth. And then this image here, I'll have to try and find it right quick, but there's a
yeah,
full
I
image
know
of
what you mean,
this.
but to me it looked like a Photoshop image of the strike fad and just some Photoshop action to label different stuff on it.
Well,
Because when you look at it, what's really interesting here, when you look on the pictures, there are a different amount of knobs on the interface.
sure, sure.
And I
Um,
don't know if because usually like when I remember the Rocket and the Strike Fat, this stuff is all their whole product images was all 3D renderings and they look pretty good. So if they I don't know, maybe they really want to just give out these early stage product mock-ups, but I don't know. I'm not too sure. I wish it will be released at Namm because I think it's a great idea, but we will see.
yeah, I'm hoping. The thing about it that would make me wonder how they're going to work it is on the product image that I saw. So it's got banks of all the usual sounds that you would expect to see on a Mellotron, but then it has the user banks. I would assume that if you're going to be doing something like that, there's going to need to be some way to edit your samples if you're putting in your own sound. So that begs the question of, well, what software is there with it? What's the interface going to be like? And that kind of
I read somewhere that they manage it so you can send samples over via USB. So maybe it's a combination of the hardware DSP unit and a VST plugin where you can mangle the samples and you just you use
well,
the
it says
VST
that it
editor to
has an
work with your
analog.
samples and you can send it over to the hardware unit.
Yeah, it says it's got a analog multi-mode filter on it. So, um, and this is all just going off these speculative. It looks like it's supposed to be a press release leak or something. But anyway, it looks very interesting to me. I think that's something that I would definitely want to go check out. Some of the other things that we've seen is the Korg mini log, which is their four voice. Here, let me pull it up here. Where am I at? I'm over at Synthtopia right now. So this is the Korg mini log, and it is a polyphonic four voice, which apparently has an eight. The wording is clearly odd, but it says eight voice unison mode, but I think they mean eight oscillator. So I think they're just talking about two oscillators per voice and stacking it. But
Yeah.
The fact that it has like a King Korg screen at the end, and it looks like it's a real time oscilloscope of your oscillators, that looks really cool to me. The rumored price point is about $500 from what I'm hearing. I'm very excited for this. I like what Korg's been doing as far as analog is concerned, even if the build quality of a lot of their stuff has been very, very budget. I like the actual synthesis that they've been doing, you know, from the MS-20 Mini and really going back to the Monotron when they first started bringing analog back by doing the Monotron things. It seems like they had these young new engineers that they weren't jumping and biting off too much too fast. You know, like they started small and they were kind of building and they were working with some of the legendary guys as well. And it's like they kind of have been coming up through the ladder properly, um, which gets me kind of excited. This thing, from what I've been hearing, uh, has a lot of really interesting modulation on it, cross mod, that kind of good stuff. So you know,
It looks really interesting, but I can't believe they can produce a real four voice analog polysynth for $500. That would be, I mean, that would be super dope. But maybe it's digital oscillators or something like that, and an analog filter, or maybe it's four voice paraphonic like the Pulse 2, something like that. But when you think about a
well,
four
I mean,
voice poly,
look at the Volca keys. I mean, you know, if they were able to do the Volca keys, and that's what, like $150,
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
you
you got a
know?
point there.
I mean, realistically, you could use that and then be adding some modulation and whatnot to that basic design and then putting it in a little bit larger case. The case still looks very small. And if you see some of the zoomed in pictures, they're like the screws and whatnot that are in there look very similar to the Volca screws. So
Mm,
I'm not expecting the build quality to be very great, but at the same time, I'm like, you know, it looks like it's going to be fun. Like it'll be something,
yeah, definitely.
fun little piece to play with. Like I had the MS-20 Mini here, and I kind of I was the first person at Namm to really kind of rail against the MS-20 Mini because when I put my hands on it, I was blown away by how cheap it felt. And I told people, I said, you know, the knobs felt like junk, the keyboard felt like junk, like it felt like junk. But the price point was really low, and I was like, as soon as I see the price drop even a little bit from there, I'll be all over it. And I was, you know, and I
Yeah,
put my own knobs on mine. Like I got some like, you know, of the Moog style knobs that I put on there that feel a little bit better. And you know, it's still it is what it is. Like it's very cheaply built, but it sounds like an MS-20 and it's fun to play with. So, you know, the knob jacks on it are really cheap, and you just as you mess with it and you know what it is, you know, okay, I'm not going to be gigging with this thing. You know, I'll keep it here, but I'm not taking that on the road. But I suspect this thing will have it'll be really fun as a portable synth. It'll be really nice to get those more basic analog tones, and then depending on how deep that modulation actually is, um, I even heard a rumor that Richard Devine might be demoing it or something. So I mean that could be really interesting. And then the other rumor from them was that they'd be doing an ARP 2600, and if they do a ARP 2600, you know that would be very interesting. My gripe with the Odyssey was that I didn't really like how the casing felt around the bottom and everything on it. But in ARP, I mean, it's just a block. You know, it's like, and if I
yeah.
can
All
plug that
the
to my other gear, then hey, I'm happy. So I would definitely jump on that. And the fact that the price point's got to be a whole lot lower than the TTSH, you know, the clone that was done.
yeah.
Um,
Well,
roll.
I didn't think the Odyssey was feeling so bad as you said. It's still on my wish list. I think actually for the price point of $1,000, I thought it was actually pretty good. The the sliders and or the that mini faders what they have in there, they were running super smooth.
I don't
So
know. If I put that thing next to even like a sub fatty, I'm like the build quality isn't even remotely comparable. But um, but so the other rumor that we were seeing is Roland, and they are rumored to be doing a ACB technology sampler. So there's a lot of rumors going around as to whether it's like a IRA range type product sampler, or if it is a new Roland MV 8000 successor. Um, but the rumor is that it's using ACB technology, and it's got emulations of just a huge list of like who's who of digital samplers from the past. Everything from the SP 1200 to the Casio samplers to the Roland samplers, MPC 3000, MPC 60, Korg SDD 2000, that kind of stuff. So I'll say this: every year that I go to Namm, I kind of run straight to Roland, hoping to see a new sampler, like new proper workstation sampler from Roland, because I always felt that the MV 8000 was really, really good, but just needed a little bit more power, a little bit more speed in operation. Um, if they do this and they can include, different modeling engines in it, and um, the MV 8000 had a really cool bass synthesizer in it. If they were to take some of the ACB technology and put like a System 1 inside of this thing, I mean, that would be just really, I could see that being really fun. Um, but have you heard any rumors about that? I know you just recently got a bunch of Roland stuff from Roland, right?
yes, I have actually their full arrow range right here. Let me see if I can turn the monitor a little bit. It's sitting all there. I just finished a review about it today, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that sampler. I mean, um, it's with today's software, you can emulate so many stuff already. I mean, it's basically a really good bit crusher can come very close to these old sampler. But if they really get like the original circuits and model all that old circuits and make it work and it give it that real authentic look, I can really see that become a success, because the software comes close, but it's just
Yeah.
not the same thing.
I
Even
think
the
the other thing is that, I mean, for me at least, when it comes to hardware samplers, I'm all about workflow. So I'm like, you know, there might be like a lot of overlap between a couple of different hardware samplers, but their workflow might be extremely different, and that alone can warrant me wanting both of them. Um, things like the Octatrack and things that are doing like more live slicing and
Mhm.
rearranging, the way machine works, and the way the MPC works, it's also very different. So
Yeah.
if they come and they bring like a fresh approach to how sampling is done, on a hardware box, I mean, I could see that being really interesting, and especially if they're using, you know, in the similar way that like the System 1 and the TR8 is using the USB audio and MIDI and that sort of thing, they could have ports on it so that you could use it with their mixer, their performance mixer. And
Yep.
there's just a lot of, for Roland right now, there's a lot of possibilities that I could see happening. So
Also,
um
the same possibility here, like I said with Waldorf, this would be a perfect scenario for a VST editor for the samples and a sound processor, an external sound processor. Like the System 1, it does it basically the same thing. You have the editor on the computer, and it actually just controls the external hardware. And for a sampler, that would be the perfect case, in my opinion.
the other major rumor that I've been hearing, and this is, I get little tidbits of rumors here and there from different people in the industry, and I've heard this kind of floated in forums and through people that I trust. But the rumors about Akai coming out with another sampler based product, whether it's an MPC for or not, remains to be seen. But the MPC Touch, from what I'm understanding, is not the only thing that they have. And the rumors of a true standalone MPC returning are making their rounds. And from what I'm hearing, the price point will be pretty high. But for what it'll do, I'm also hearing that they're talking about some pretty massive features. So yeah, I think this year you're going to see a return to hardware standalone samplers, which has been kind of missing for a while. And I think you're going to see a lot more polyphonic synths. The other rumors being that I've heard of Akai coming out with a flagship polyphonic synthesizer.
Yeah, like a remake of the AX. That's what I heard.
Yeah. So they floated the picture of the AX range's anniversary, and this kind of makes me feel the opposite of Korg, because it's like, well, Akai, all the products they've been making, like the build quality has been really nice on all their products, as far as their hardware is concerned. But the analog stuff, I haven't been exactly smitten with. I mean, the Rhythm Wolf range did not excite anyone, I don't think, when they actually heard it. And the same with the Timberwolf. So hopefully that was kind of like maybe them just dabbling, and this is where they actually put resources together properly and do a proper poly synthesizer. I'd still be really open to it, because the AX synths are still like some of the best Curtis synths, of recent generation. But along with that, you could talk about the fact that Behringer had talked a while ago about bringing a polyphonic synthesizer out, and the rumors were that they were rebuilding a lot of these classic chips or coming out with new chip designs, because that for a long time was my understanding, that was the limit for a lot of these companies making these polyphonic synthesizers, is that they didn't all have access to these, synth on a chip analog voices and filters and whatnot. And now, with Behringer being the big company that it is and owning all the different chip companies and things like that it does, it could come out there and start remanufacturing analog synthesizer chips and do it at a cost that nobody else could. So I'm
Yep.
still actually really interested in whatever it is they decide to show at Namm. But the question is what will the timeline be? Because what was that X series that they did?
I think it was announced 2014, and I think it was late 2015 when the first models hit the stores. And I think it's not even their full line they announced before. It's only that X Touch Mini that it's available now. I'm not sure if the flagship controller is already available in the stores.
So Emu, uh the old synth company, and also the same people known for like the SP1200 and Sonic products too. I guess they those companies combined. But Rossum Electro Music is looking to make a return, and so we've seen a couple of images of them shooting product videos and whatnot. I've talked to a few people who say it's all real and it's coming, and I have to admit that I'm pretty excited for that. They're known for some really awesome synthesizers, and anytime you get a really trusted designer and engineer who's going to be putting their effort towards a musical product, I think that's something to be excited about. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them at Namm. Um, what else at Namm are you expecting to see? Is there anything that you're particularly excited about and say, hey, you should run over that direction?
Um, I don't know. I hope that some new software is coming out. I hope UVI continues with their um
Falcon?
yeah, with some new Falcon products. And they also, did you see they announced this recreation of the ZZ Casio style face distortion synthesizer? They sampled off a lot of this stuff and it sounded great. I hope they go more into that direction with some more rare 80 synthesizer stuff. And what else? I hope Novation is coming up with a new SL controller, because
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
I
been a
s-
while.
I saw that the SL0, I mean, maybe it's just out of stock at the moment, but no shop over here has it in stock anymore.
Mhm.
And so I'm hoping that there's maybe a SL0 Mark III coming out with a new version of Automap.
Yeah, yeah, that would be nice because I think that's gotten a bit long in the tooth. And also Yamaha. Like I'm looking forward to see if Yamaha comes out with anything because it was a little while ago they kind of promoted around it was like the 30th anniversary or something of their analog synth line.
Yeah, I hope
And
they come up with something bigger this time.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I mean, I don't think it's been long enough to where they could have learned much of a lesson from the Reface launch, but if they come out with some, like a new CS range, that would be pretty awesome. And I
Yeah.
wouldn't be completely surprised if they did something like that. But I mean, they got to have the engineers for it, so we'll see what happens there. I'm also really interested. I mean, modular as a whole, I'm expecting to see really huge again this year. Software for the past like 5 or 6 years has is steadily kind of gone down, and there's been less and less of it at Namm. Um, and I don't know if that's just because they feel like they can make the connections through the internet, and that's fine. Um, but I think where they're at right now, as far as software companies, they've been hit so hard with piracy uh, over and over and over again that now it's like a lot of the software developers that I talk to, they all want to find a way into hardware one way or another.
Yeah.
So be it dongle controllers or be it actual standalone boxes or whatever. So there's been a definite return to the hardware, which is fine by me because I like hands-on control. Like that hands-on workflow is fine for me. All I prefer to use software-wise is effects and using my DAW as like a tape machine.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I think what I'm really excited and looking to jump right away towards is I'm gonna head towards the Roland booth as I always do, hoping to see a new interesting sampler. Um, and
Oh,
then
I'm
I'm gonna
still
be
hoping
spending a lot
for
of time
an
with modular.
I'm still hoping for an Arturia Polybrood.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, that's been it's been a while since they've come out with like a major product. I mean, they had the
Yep.
BeatStep Pro, which is really good now that it's had a couple of updates, and I'm really enjoying it. Um, the power port could be more robust, but other than that, I really enjoy it. But I think it's been a while, so I could see that something like that could show its face. Um, Novation's Base Station 2, I feel like didn't get nearly as much press as it probably could have because of when it released. There were so many other similar products coming
Yeah.
out at the same time.
I got one right here in the living room for reviewing,
Yeah,
and
and I'll tell you what, I played one not all that long ago, and I had kind of like just skipped it. Just I hadn't had time to mess with one, and I played with one not all that long ago, and I actually really liked it. I thought it was really really cool synthesizer for what it is.
hands down, for that price, you don't get a bass synthesizer or a monophonic synthesizer with more features, and it's a really really good synth. It has almost any feature you can think about, even swing on the LFOs, stuff like that.
Mhm.
It has the
Yeah, I
same
was
keypad
surprised.
as the Ultra Nova, which is like my favorite keypad in the studio at the moment. The only thing is, it's not like a Moog or Arturia. It doesn't has like kind of its own character.
Mhm.
At least as long as you don't put that drive behind the filter, which gives it a very own character. But before that, it's like bread and butter sound. It's like it's on the other side, it's very versatile for many genres, but it's not like you don't hear it in the track and you say, "Oh, that's a bass station right there." But it's a really really good synth, and it's all analog for that price.
And you can power it from a battery pack, which is cool. You power it from
Yep.
like a phone battery pack, which I love
Yep.
that. I'm such a dork for like portable gear that I can just take with me on the couch or whatever and start messing around. I love that. So
Yeah, I followed
um
their path. I got this USB power bank for Christmas from my
mhm.
dad, and my mom got me a little a little speaker. So
That's
I
what I
can
do.
even I don't even need headphones. I just go outside
I have a
and
little
play.
Bose speaker, and then I have, a little I got the same kind of thing. I got ugh, here it is right here. This is my little this is my couch setup. I got a battery pack, and then I got a speaker, and then I just plug that into whatever synths I can power it in that way, like an Ultra Nova or whatever, and I have fun with it. But
Yep.
I would really like to see them kind of continue down the path of developing that stuff because, like you said, for the price point, you're getting MIDI control. You're getting, a really powerful synthesizer. I had a lot of deep modulation on it too, which is
Yep.
cool. So I could see them coming out with some more interesting stuff. I just don't want to see them neglect that product just because it came out at a kind of saturated time. Like at that point, there was a bunch of other analog mono synths that were coming out that I feel like kind of got more attention, both because the base station didn't have CV, and I think that kind of hurt it for that at that time. And I mean, honestly, like the Mini Brute, the way its filter screams, the MS-20 coming back, that kind of stuff just shoved it in a corner. But so Novation, I'm hearing that Make Noise has got a few new modules that they're going to be showing. And from what I hear, they're going to be really fantastic. So I'm definitely looking forward to see whatever Make Noise has. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm gonna be there all week. I'll be getting there on Wednesday, which they have a short media day on Wednesday, and I'm hoping to make it in time for that. My flight comes in like in the middle of that, so we'll see what happens there. But yeah, I mean, basically the way my coverage is going to work for it is I'm really going to try to focus on more products that some of the major guys aren't really following quite as much. Like if I feel like Sonic State or somebody is covering something really heavily, then there's not much of a need for me to cover it. I might do a little thing on it, but then I'll move on and try to find the things. Nam is so big, you can be there for an entire week and not see everything. So
Hmm.
I really like to try to find the small companies that, like, maybe otherwise you wouldn't find out about. Like the products might be weird, they might be really niche and just kind of make you scratch your head a little bit, but that's part of the fun of Nam is like finding like these weird things. Like what was that? Oh man, there was this thing. It was like a little Game Boy that was out a while back. This little pocket synthesizer, and like
Oh,
nobody was covering
teenage
it.
engineering.
No, not even no. It's smaller than that. It's
Oh.
way more awkward and way less sense had way less sense to it. But it was ridiculous, but at the same time, like, I wanted to cover it just because it was such an odd thing. Things like the stylophone too, things like that. So I'll definitely be keeping my eyes out for what shows up, and of course, anything and everything modular. I'm of course going to have my hands on, but I'm really looking to see what Dave Smith brings. I've heard rumors that he's working on something pretty interesting. So I'm hoping that they have something to show. I know that Tom Oberheim is going to be showing some things. So I'm looking forward to like maybe the Eurorack modules from Oberheim, that kind of stuff. I'm a big fan of that sound. So
Yep.
and yeah, but so I'll be there with B-Boy Tech Report. Obviously fluxwithit.com, B-Boy Tech Report, sonicexpansion.com, soundsandgear.com. You know, we're all going to be kind of connecting, and we're going to try to put together some live shows out at NAM and have some panel discussions and that sort of thing. So we'll all be out there and tearing up some Roscoe's chicken and waffles, and yeah. So, but anything else before we close out?
Didn't find anything else so far. I hope there is more stuff going to be announced the next weeks.
I've been hearing rumors about some stuff from Native Instruments, but Native Instruments doesn't show at Namm. I guess they had a falling out with Namm years ago, and they don't interact with Namm anymore. So I don't know if it'll be around that same time or just after, or maybe Music Mesa or what. But I've been hearing rumors of Native Instruments working on something fairly major.
Oh yeah, one thing maybe for the DJs out there that might be interesting. Dan and DJ, um, there are some rumors that they will come back with a new controller that is catching up with the Native Instruments control line. Maybe something with digital screens or something like that.
Yeah, and I guess Technics are back now as well. I guess that just got announced, right? That there's going to be a new Technics 1200 line of turntables
Oh
that
yeah,
use
yeah.
they use a new motor technology too, which is supposed to be a lot nicer. But what we don't know is how well that motor works in a scratching environment and in an actual DJ environment, as opposed to an audiophile environment. So if they have them there and they let us touch them, you better believe I'm going to put my hands on them and see if I can, feel the platter and how that's all working out. So hopefully it feels true to a 1200. Um,
Yep, that would be nice.
but I'll never sell mine. So, all right. Yeah, this is Flux of fluxwithit.com. And we got Mike of padbangers.com. And check us out over at the Producers Hangout on Facebook. And if you got anything you want to drop us a line about, hit us up. So I'll see you guys next, probably around Namm. Peace.